This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for May 4th, 2024. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. A bit of good news. These videos can get very dour very quickly. I do not like talking about these horrible things, but I have to say something about them.
Because the only other option is to lie down and die.
However, I want to bring you to this thread that I got involved with on YouTube. The exact circumstances as to how this conversation started are irrelevant. And this person probably does not even know that I am saying this, but that does not matter. While we need to mock liberals and the globalists for how much damage they are doing to our country, occasionally someone might need a pick-me-up. Sometimes just praying for someone who posts a comment is what we need to do to help others. Now, while I'm on a roll, I would like to talk about a horrible story that actually has a somewhat good ending. A fitting punishment. There's a lot of talk in Arizona about how rape and incest are not grounds to kill the child for doing nothing wrong. However, I think that Louisiana may have a good idea. While there may have been many chemical castrations for rapists, this is the first recorded physical castration. Not only is this 54-year-old man locked away for 50 years, he will never forget what he has done. A DNA test confirmed that after grooming the then 14-year-old girl, he got her pregnant. This child did nothing wrong. He cannot and must not be held accountable for the sin of his father, especially since rapists are known to use abortion to cover up their crimes. This person is never going to forget what he has done, and I am sure that it will be quite painful. Good punishments are a deterrent for crime. However, I now take you to the other side of Texas in New Mexico, where a grandmother had to explain to a criminal not to mess with her. Listen to Grandma's warnings. And now for the latest installment of The Second Amendment Saves Lives. If someone tells you to leave their home, it is best to listen. A grandmother in New Mexico warned the criminal who broke into her home, but he did not listen. She shot him, but he lived. She did so to protect her 4-year-old granddaughter. Both are still alive and are now safe. If these two were not protected by the Second Amendment, they would not be alive today. Furthermore, the gun grabbers would use them as a political ploy to disarm more people, with laws that criminals will not obey. However, let us go to Columbia University, where spoiled rich kids do not care about rules. Columbia University's occupation. It is truly sad that schools were shut down, leaving only remote learning because of a virus that you are not allowed to talk about. Now these kids were forced to go to remote learning again, this time because of criminals. The NYPD has arrested the criminals occupying Columbia University. I call it an occupation, not a protest, for a reason. Even worse, some Jewish students have claimed that they were threatened. Other Jewish students were even being forbidden entry onto the campus by the masked mob. Not only are they supporting terrorists, but they are in the way of everyone else. While not a one-to-one comparison, we saw something very similar when Black Crimes Matter got started. I believe I mentioned last week that they were blocking traffic. After that, Black Crimes Matter went to college campuses. The police, having broken this up now, will do one of two things. 1, the terrorist sympathizers will stop and go about their business. Or 2, they will be emboldened and get worse. Either way, the only thing that criminals understand is force. While I must point out that Israel's response does not technically meet the qualifications for just war as described by the Catechism, Israel has tried explaining it to their neighbors, but it is a lost cause. Occupying campuses might not seem like it is doing much, but again, this is how Black Crimes Matter got started. Presidential debate imminent. Brandon has officially challenged President Trump to a presidential debate. As of this recording, none of the details have been ironed out, but it should be interesting. President Trump will be able to run on his accomplishments, but Brandon will have to run on empty promises. Also, I wonder how many times Brandon will make up something when he speaks. These are timed, so there is not a large margin to talk about imaginary 18-wheelers, or imaginary cannibalism that makes Jeff Zients cringe. Either way, Korean Affirmative Action Hire will have to clarify all of his statements the next day, even if she will try to get out of it by saying that she has already addressed it. However, let us discuss the campaign from President Trump's side. Lawfare was Plan B. Representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington had something very interesting to say.
And, I go back to the responsibility of Congress here, because had the Senate actually gone through with the impeachment of Donald Trump, we would not be in this situation.
Did I say that out loud?
If we are to take her statement to its only logical conclusion, this lawfare never would have been brought up if President Trump had been impeached. Remember that the sham impeachment started because of fake news created by the Clinton campaign. There is a legal doctrine known as fruit of the poisonous tree. It basically states that if a warrant is obtained illegally or based on false information, any information obtained cannot be used. Even if President Trump was guilty, this should protect him. Besides, we know that Hillary Clinton did not help the Russians in any way during her tenure as Secretary of State. Crimes that she will never be charged for. I will talk more about President Trump's Russia situation at the end of the video. Now, let us address another deep state operative who may have legal troubles all his own. Bernie Sanders' accuser. Bernie Sanders has been accused of raping a child 30 years ago. We already know, thanks to James O'Keefe, that there are these wild sex parties used to buy loyalty to the deep state.
So how do you define it?
Well, the way I would define the deep state is an increased willingness by more and more government civil servants to pursue political objectives rather than stand up for the values of the institution they're a part of. They are not neutral. They're not politically neutral.
Now, Bernie Sanders may be a loathsome wretch of an individual absent of any and all redeeming qualities, but even he has a right to a fair trial. However, this specific charge does seem like it may be one of those sensationalist stories that pop up every so often. There are a few holes in the story, including the fact that the child and his family never officially filed a report. Then again, they have gone after President Trump with less evidence than that. Moving on, while Sanders probably has a tape with his name on it being held by the deep state, this is probably not it. Speaking of accusers, the Baltimore deepfake. I take you now to Maryland, where we might have the first official case of a deepfake in court. A gym teacher created a deepfake of his principal saying horrible and wretched things.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these here every day. Between these ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his out of here one way or another. I'm going to get something to stick. I'm just so sick of the inadequacies of these people. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side.
Multiple experts, including the FBI and a university, found that it was in fact a deepfake. The now former coach made the audio after Principal Icewort began an investigation into his mishandling of district funds. AI is a dangerous tool, but it is a tool. Things are not going to get any easier, especially with people like this running around. But it is only a matter of time before this is used to start a war.
Undersecretary Thomas, thank you for getting back so quickly.
General Talbot? General Landis?
Yes, Undersecretary Thomas. I have an arms nullification order, and I need you to provide the kill codes for...
Code must be provided in person.
I have a high-level ATCU agent waiting outside right now.
He's acting under my authority.
I'll need his credentials.
Oh, he has them? You bet.
Okay.
Yes, I know that was the protagonist from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and was motion capture. But something like this will happen very soon. However, let us talk about something that Brandon wishes was fake news. Brandon's Gait. The news site Axios previously broke the story about Brandon's no-slip shoes because of his problem walking upstairs. Now, it was leaked that Brandon not only has handlers surrounding him in the event of a fall. Remember what happened with the sandbag?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
A short while ago, he had to use children to hold himself up and then probably sniff them. Either way, they are also covering up how frail he looks. There is a reason why we call him Sleepy Joe. And while I cannot confirm it, I think that this brown bag may hold something other than official presidential documents, if you catch my drift. Korean Affirmative Action Hire has stated on more than one occasion that she has trouble keeping up with her boss. However, I think that is just something that Jeff Zients told her to say. The fact remains that the nations of the world are looking at Brandon and are not seeing strength. The nations of the world, however, did fear Trump. The dog killer. There are a lot of horrible things that you can do. You can rip children apart in the womb. You can stand idly by while people burn down homes and businesses. You can lock people in their homes, disrupting the education of an entire generation. You can pass restrictive laws to enhance your own bottom line. But none of these compare to what Governor Noam did, at least according to the fake news. They will not mention that the animal was both aggressive and untrainable. This was a quick death for the animal. And that is just what this creature was. An animal. And remember, only Anthony Fauci is allowed to kill dogs and get away with it. The CIA Withheld Intelligence. Imagine the CIA not sharing intelligence with the President of the United States. That seems almost unfathomable. But in a world where President Trump tried to drain the swamp, the deep state will do whatever it takes to stop him.
So how do you define it?
Well, the way I would define the deep state is an increased willingness by more and more government civil servants to pursue political objectives rather than stand up for the values of the institution they're a part of. They are not neutral. They're not politically neutral.
When the Russia collusion first got started, the intelligence community warned Clinton and still information was leaked. But that same privilege was not given to Donald Trump. In other words, not only did they spy on his campaign, yes! They withheld information from him, yes! And then started a impeachment over what they did not warn him about. Yes! Combine all of this with the new revelations that Hillary Clinton's hand may have been involved in the raid on Mar-a-Lago, and this just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Not to mention the gag order from a corrupt judge that keeps a presidential candidate from speaking. Fani Willis is served. Representative Mesha Maynor is suing Fani Willis. Now, Willis is a corrupt career politician just like a certain other opponent of Donald Trump. In essence, it boils down to two very specific facts. 1. Willis let the stalker of Maynor out on bond. 2. Willis did not properly prosecute said stalker. The whole event began back in 2019 with a former staffer. From what I can tell, Willis needed to drop the ball on this, because Maynor switched from the Democrat Party and therefore is no longer worthy of protection. If it is a right-winger like Bundy that is occupying a wildlife refuge, the police will hold nothing back. But if it is Democrats that burn cities down, a cackling candidate for vice president will bail them out of jail. Furthermore, Willis needed to save resources so that she could be a persecutor.
Don't you mean prosecutor? No!
Of President Trump. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. But before you go, on the left I have last week's video, but you may also enjoy the video on the right.